Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC Fight Night, Lad versus Dumont. We're going to be talking the main event of the evening, as well as a submission of the night prop that I do love. We're going to dive into both of those. Before we do, definitely like, subscribe, comment, all those great things. Follow me at Kyle Anthony on Twitter, at Kyle Anthony UFC on Twitter as well. So appreciate everybody that's supporting me there. We are coming off of a 5% best bet play, not on UFC, not on MMA. We went the boxing route last weekend, had the over 7.5 rounds on the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury fight. And for my clients that ended up, placing that wager and being a part of that fight, it was an awesome fight. But boy, I didn't think that was going to be cashing in that second and that third round. What a fight. I mean, I figured at that point, I said, if I'm going to lose, let it be just this complete haymaker bomb that somebody goes down. They both got up off the canvas multiple times, kind of coming back, and just the way that fight was going, didn't feel like we were going to get there to that 8th round, into that 9th round. We did. We cashed. 5% best bet play does cash in for clients. So we didn't have any MMA plays there for clients. I kind of took the week off. Didn't really like too many positions there really to begin with. So this one I do like. I have my package up right now on WagerTalk. Link down in the description if you want to be a client and see the client plays. But we're going to be talking the main event here. We're going to be talking a prop as well. So let's just get into it right now. Let's get into Aspen Lad versus Norma Dumont. Right now you've got Lad at roughly a minus 150, 155, somewhere in there, depending where you're shopping, as well as Norma Dumont, plus 120, plus 130, somewhere in there as well, depending where you're looking. So we're going to go over what we do, the last 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we're going to first talk Sijara Eubanks versus Aspen Lad. This was 3 fights ago, and this was a spot here where, Eubanks is big. She's a big girl, she's scrappy, she's strong, she wants to brawl. Coming into this fight, though, you had Lad, who was a minus 330 coming into this fight, a massive favorite, and coming in there, you did see Sijara, like, she wanted to go in there, cut distance, get in front of her, and be the one to dictate the pace. And I think that's a little bit something where, you are going into Lad's wheelhouse. You're definitely going to where she likes to go, but Sijara's strong. She wants to muscle her way to it. Not as technical, but has that ability to be strong enough. And she goes in there and gets an early slam on Lad, gets on top of Lad, and this really showed that Lad can be good anywhere. She really can be good anywhere. And she showed the ability to kind of work off her back a little bit, scramble. There was a point there too also where it didn't really look like that Lad was going to be able to get out of that spot. And I thought it was really impressive how Lad was able to, from bottom, all of a sudden find her way on top, land big shots, have a nice opportunity to kind of control the fight in that first round where it looked like, hey, Sijara's on top of you, that's bad news. She ended up kind of scrambling, getting to her feet. And then in that second round, it was really a lot of Lad there. I mean, Lad goes out there, gets the takedown, scrambles around, and she starts doing, when she lands bombs, that ground and pound of hers is very, very good. Her stand-up game lacks tremendously when it comes to striking. But boy, when she gets on the ground, she has heavy top pressure, keeps that pressure there, lands and has this kind of war cry when she's landing these big shots, wants to just keep blasting shots. She did well in that second round. Into that third round, it was a lot of the same thing. It kind of like Eubanks was getting a little more gas later into that fight, later to that third round. But I thought they both really just kind of stood and banged, and you were trying to see who was going to get the positioning, and it ended up being Lad. Lad looked good there. She ended up having a really strong second round, won one of the other rounds. I did give it a 2-1 there. It was very close. That I think it was the first round. It was pretty close. So there you have it there. She does go out there. She gets the decision victory over Eubanks. 2 fights ago, Lad fought Jermaine Durandamy, and I actually bet Jermaine Durandamy in this fight here, and a lot of it really had to more do with, it's really hard to get Durandamy down. She is not anybody that's easy to just take down. She's got those long legs. She's able to kind of maneuver a little bit. We know that's a little bit tougher, obviously, for when you've got the smaller girl against the more lanky girl. It's kind of tough. But again, their striking this is just another level where you've got Lad, her striking again is not that great. And you've got just this high level Muay Thai, high level kickboxing of Germaine de Randamie. And again, this goes into the weight cut situation. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But the weight cut situation here was, again, wasn't the greatest weight cut for her. She's stumbling around. That's kind of been her thing, at this point, where can she get down to the weight? She goes in there. It took, I think it was, 16 seconds. Germaine lands the first, shot she lands crisp, drops her, finishes the fight. Fight over. Germaine gets the knockout victory there. Obviously, it's hard to take anything away from that fight. Taking a look at it, would love to see more to see if she could really push forward and get the scrambling. She doesn't. Fight ends. So there you have it there with Lad getting her loss. And then most recently, she fought Yana Kunitskaya. This one, I think, you can take a lot out of this going into the fight with Norma Dumont on Saturday night. So you have this fight here against Kunitskaya, and the first thing you're going to be seeing here is Kunitskaya's thing really is she wants to get you up against the cage, she wants to make it dirty, she wants to leverage that, she wants to keep you there, clinch up, work the knees, work the body, then get back in, clinch up, and that's kind of been her thing, push you up against the cage and almost not even allow you to do much after that. And the positioning of where she is pretty much gives her the win on that round. She's able to kind of keep you there, and not much has happened, but she's kind of got you pinned up against the fence, and maybe she's landed a little bit more. The positioning, the control time, that she's going to get the round. So that's kind of been the sloppy kind of way that Yana has been able to kind of pick up some victories or even win some rounds. But right away you do see that's what happened in this fight. They're trying to jockey for positioning. They're ended up trying to, push up against the fence. And there was a point there where you did see, again, Yana had exactly what she does. Her blueprint of her offense is push up against the cage. Not very sexy kind of, MMA ability that you're seeing when she's kind of doing that. But you did see Lad again, and again, she's very, she's able to kind of do this great with her angles and her creative takedowns in those tight situations. She goes up there, she gets the takedown. Ends up landing some big, heavy, again, ground and pound for her is her thing. She is just able to kind of get on top, land the big shots, and keep you there. And that's something, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later, is statistically what she's done. But before we get to that, you want to talk more about how she's going to really be measuring up here with Dumont. And Kunitskaya can do some of these things. She's not as strong as Dumont. I think Dumont's better technically when you're talking about just grappling. But she's able to kind of keep her up there, and again, got the takedown. Lands some big shots, going into that second round. Again, Yana trying to force Lad up against the fence. And this, to me, you're going back into her wheelhouse again. And Yana just doesn't have the strength. I don't think she's as technically sound when it comes to the grappling. And Lad's better. She was able to kind of work from those clinching situations, getting top, got another takedown, heavy ground and pound, gets the TKO finish in that third round. I thought she looked fantastic overall. I thought that she really looked good. You're seeing that the striking really isn't there, but you are seeing that she is just that, if she gets on top, it's very difficult to get her off of you. She goes up there and gets the victory. Now on the other side, you've got Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont, 3 fights ago, she fought Megan Anderson. And this was a fight here where it really, when I first kind of started capping Norma, obviously in some of her other fights, this was a fight here which had a big question mark to me, because you do see I am not very high on the skill set at all of Anderson. She's lanky, she's 6 foot, she's got that kind of the size advantage and some of the reach advantages, and it's going to be hard for her. Obviously, you saw in the fight with Dumont, it's hard for her to get taken down in certain spots, but hard for the shorter girl, again, like we were talking about with the Randamie, is it's hard to get those types of people down, get their legs off the ground to kind of power them down, where the shorter girl can't really just elevate enough. And that's kind of what happened in this fight here. You've got Anderson, she was up against the fence. It's the same kind of thing that you saw with Yana did with Lad, was kind of keep her up against the fence and looking for the takedown. And it looked like she either just didn't have it, or maybe it was just not enough cardio going on there, but she was trying to get that takedown. She couldn't get it. She tried to get Megan down. And then from there it was kind of, she was able to kind of roll out, scramble out. And that's where really Norma almost looked like she's like, okay, if I can't do that, I can't stand and strike with this long, lanky girl. I mean, again, I'm not high on Megan Anderson, but she ended up landing a perfect shot. It looked like Norma was pretty tired going into that first, middle of that first round. It looked like she was tired. I'm not sure. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if that was a short notice fight. I feel like it was a short notice fight for for Dumont, but I'm not sure. But either way, here, just her cardio didn't look good. And this fight really gave me question marks. But kind of going through these other two answered some of those. But in the situation here, it was a knockout victory for Megan Anderson. She landed the big shot, got the knockdown, and then from there, she ended up getting some ground and pound, finishes the fight. So there you have it there. And then 2 fights ago, she fought Ashley Evans-Smith, and this was just a terrible showing for Ashley Evans-Smith. I mean, she looked horrible. She looked like she really wasn't trying. I mean, she was doing those aerobic punches where you're 10 feet away, you're firing shots, and it's really, they're not going to cause anything. It was kind of a shit show for her to begin with, just kind of the way that she was striking, the way she was fighting, the stuff that she was doing. It really, really looked terrible. And I thought that, on the other side of it, although Ashley Evans-Smith is really not that great to begin with, I thought that Norma looked great. I mean, her cardio stayed good. She kept good volume. She was pushing forward. She was landing big shots. You could tell her striking was elevating. Her cardio was not in question too, because the output she was putting out, she was, hanging on Ashley Evans-Smith for a lot of the fight, in her face. And, Evans-Smith, again, didn't really offer too much offensively, because it was pretty disgusting of a fight for her. But I thought that Norma started to show that, hey, maybe it was a one-off when it comes to her cardio. So that was a kind of situation to take out of there. But she looked good. She goes out there and gets a decision victory. And then most recent against Felicia Spencer. This was another one where I think answered a lot of questions for Norma. I mean, she goes into this fight. This is another grappling situation, and I thought she looked great. I really thought that she looked from top to bottom. She looked great. You even had it up against Felicia Spencer. She's a tough girl, a brawler. Looking for the takedowns. She can, take the damage, come forward, put the pressure on, and I thought that pretty comfortably. Dumont was just, I thought she fought really well. Her striking looked really crisp. It looked like, for the most part, though, she was trying to counter. She kind of wanted to stay on the outside for the most part, and then she landed, off of the offense of Felicia. She was then, able to kind of counter, look for some level changes, push her up against the fence, but you could tell the power difference was just miles away from each other. I mean, really, it was just completely different. Didn't look like Norma was really affected by too many of those punches, where you've got, she's kind of coming forward, landing big shots. That was piling up for her. I thought she looked really good overall, and I think it was a great showing for her. Again, that fight against Megan Anderson, who, again, Megan is, she's an accomplished, athlete. It's not that she isn't, but, not looking that good, getting sparked that quickly. She really kind of came through in these last couple of fights. I thought she looked good there. She goes out there and gets the decision victory. So with that being said, we're going to go over and tie this all together. And obviously on the other side, you've got Lad, high-level grappling. She's strong. She's able to have that power grappling. Ground and pound. The way she just gets on top of you, keeps the positioning. Really fantastic there, and that's going to be her path to victory, really, against anybody. No secret there. On the other side there, you've got Dumont. Kind of the same thing. People, she's got the grappling credentials, and I feel like a lot of people kind of just wash over the fact that, hey, she's got grappling credentials, but, really Lad's the one. Lad obviously has those credentials. But you really, taking a look at it, she's a Sambo, Dumont is a Sambo black belt. She's a national champion, and she's BJJ brown belt. I mean, she's got those credentials. But the thing here for me, I think, that when you're really looking at it is, it's going to be a grappling situation here where you're going to have two girls that maybe it nullifies each other. And that's really kind of the first part of this, is that if the grappling nullifies each other and they both kind of stand, I love everything that Norma Dumont offers compared to Aspen Ladd. I mean, if they're just kind of, up against the fence and then they kind of, have distance and then they're back to striking, Dumont's winning that fight. I mean, if they're just going to stand, it's going to be a striking fight. Dumont's going to win the fight. Obviously, there is going to be the ground situation. Someone's going to be, getting taken down a few times. Both of them are going to have those abilities to be, smart and intelligent on the ground, whether they're on the bottom or they're on the top. So that could be the situation. But you look at what Ladd has done. She has a 70% takedown success rate. So that's high. I mean, she's able to go out there, she's able to get these girls down. But not only that, but she averages 3 minutes of control time once she's on top per takedown. So she really is, when she gets you there, it is hard to get out of that. She's able to either find a finish, land big shots, pile up the damage. So really with that, I think are some great things that she brings to the cage. But to counter a lot of that is really what, this weight situation. Now, I know she's going up in weight, and that's going to be a big part of this, that she is going up in weight. Now, 2 weeks ago, she drained her body. She was trying to get into the fight, being able to make weight for the fight, and didn't make it. It was a pound or two. I don't think it was even too far off, but again, she drained herself. She was stumbling, didn't look good for her. Now, 2 fights later, do you know how that's going to affect somebody's body? Of course you don't know, but I don't think it's a positive thing. I don't think it's a good thing that she drained herself and then she's going to go back up and gain some weight, and now she's, for the first time, fighting, back up at this, she's fighting at this weight now. So to me, it's a situation where there's a lot of question marks there for somebody like Lad, who just got, drained her body, and then 2 weeks later she's fighting in a different weight class. I think those are things that are going to be issues. Also, you've got the fact that Lad is very used to being the bully. She wants to come forward. She wants to be the bully. She's got, she's got that grappling. She's got the strength advantage. This situation here, she's not going to have that luxury. She's not going to have the ability to kind of stay in the clinch and be comfortable and not think that she can be thrown around. Normally, she's the one that's able to do that. Here, where you've got the bigger girl Dumont, I think the stronger girl in Dumont, and obviously you've got Lad coming up in weight, and Dumont has been getting ready for Holly Holm. This is going to be the biggest fight of her career, going against somebody like her. And you know damn well she's in fantastic shape. She always looks like that. I mean, her body, her legs are like tree trunks. She is able to really kind of keep a heavy base. So I really believe she's going to be going into this fight really focused, really ready. Now the change of pace here, it fits right into her wheelhouse of, okay, well, what I was kind of preparing for. Holly's strong. Holly now has been, incorporating the grappling and that kind of thing, but she was prepared for a full-on striker. So now that she's really kind of sharpened up those stand-up striking skills, and now she's facing someone like Lad, who has not really striking skills at all, and the only thing she's got is what Norma is already good at and already has a solid foundation for, I think that leads to a lot of terrible things for Lad in this fight. And again, you're seeing the elevation of each fight. You definitely see Norma get better. And again, I was not high on her at all. After when she got knocked out by Anderson, I said, no, I'm not big on this. Then she looked, obviously not the toughest fight, but she looked good against Evans. And then I thought she looked really good against Spencer. So a lot of these things I think are gonna be, very important. And then really the last part is the defending of the takedowns. So even if they're up against the fence, and you've got, Lad up against the fence, it's going to be extremely hard, I believe, for Lad to really kind of power her way through some of these takedowns that she's been able to do, where you've got someone like Dumont, who's going to be able, I think, going to be the stronger girl, and she's going to be able to put some of that offensive takedown opportunities into play as well. So I like Norma Dumont here. I ended up betting it at plus 130. I like the price here. I think the price is going to get a little bit closer. You are seeing it tick down a little bit, but I just, there's just a lot of question marks with Lad. I think she's a fantastic fighter. There's nothing against her here. I just think going up in weight, also, not making weight 2 weeks ago, and a lot of things are kind of going into this. And again, her path to victory for me just really could be nullified. And for somebody that was just getting ready for Holly Holm and now fighting Aspen Lad in a possible, possibly there's going to be a lot of stand-up there if their wrestling nullifies each other. I like Norma Dumont here. I'm going to take her at plus 130. And then we're going to talk the submission prop of the night. And as soon as I tell you the two names of the fighters, I think you know where I'm going here. Jim Miller versus Eric Gonzalez. You've got Jim Miller at minus 225 currently. You've got Eric Gonzalez at plus 180. Now this was here, and kind of keep this one pretty quick. Keep this one here, you've got Gonzalez here, the younger guy coming in. I mean, a lot of people are going to be talking about Jim Miller, the older guy. Is he chinny? Does he really have it anymore? A lot of these things, you've seen him lose some brutal knockout losses, but you've seen him have some nice submission victories in there. And of course, for anyone, that Gonzalez has faced, for anyone that's Gonzalez faced, is nowhere near the ability of Jim Miller. I mean, it is just worlds apart. And again, if you're just looking at the last two fights that Gonzalez had going into this, 2 fights ago, he fought someone who is right now 7-6, and this was on I believe it was LXF, wherever the hell they are those. This was a spot where he was he's 7-6, and this fighter also is 1-5 out of their last 6. So this is just, I mean, this was 2 fights ago. And then you've got a guy, and then he fought last fight, who is now 5-4, and he went to a decision with this person. So to me, you've got someone like Miller who has all of the ability to kind of go into this spot. But not only the fact that you're looking at, yes, this guy's not going to be as technically sound. He's not going to have the grappling, has not faced anybody to the level of Miller, where Miller pretty much, has just faced pretty much everyone in the division. You've got somebody in Gonzalez also that not only is it, his UFC debut, but it's a short notice, and that always equals just bad things. Some people can really overcome that. It's not an end-all, be-all. But you've got someone who skill-wise is way low. You've got someone who they're coming in for their first debut of the UFC fight on short notice. Big issues there. But when you look at how Miller wins, he has lost some fights and he's lost some close ones. I mean, there's been, grappling situations. He had some really good spots against Joe Selecki for the beginning of that fight. Prichel, he was, able to, grapple and get really tight with him in a very, very close fight as well, too. But over his last 4 wins, all 4 came by submission. So this is a kind of guy in Jim Miller that's the way he gets finishes. And not only that, but these are the level of fighters that he gets those submission victories on. A lot of times, you'll see, again, these tough fights, these tough grappling fights where they're rolling around and they're jockeying for position. And these guys, Prichel and Selecki, that's their wheelhouse too. They're grapplers. They're comfortable being down there and they're high level. Someone here in Eric Gonzalez, I don't see him surviving. I really think this is a situation where it's going to be one takedown for Miller, and I think he is going to scramble quickly and find a submission victory. I think it could be a very early submission victory as well, but I am comfortable here getting off the big number of the -225. His path to victory, which he has done the last 4 victories, is submission. You're getting submission here at +280. I think the price is really right there. I think it's a great spot. You can look for also, like, if you're looking for rounds or inside the distance, there's some good prices there too that I was taking a look at. But I'm comfortable at any point in those 3 rounds for Jim Miller to go out there and find a submission and sink it in and get the finish. So as my prop of the night, I am taking Jim Miller via submission +280. And those are my free plays for UFC Fight Night this Saturday night. If you're interested in my client plays, link in the description. And we'll see how we do. We'll see if we keep this going. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. And I'll see you next time.